Ur
JM&NDC. CEO of a Shapes company, Professor Gyampo. Bianiti Asena saying Iran, any Israel for any ULA for and Toka air costly a Kamia say a bit affected Ghana economy pa His Excellency John Dramani Maham a crab among so Abby Mikesa comment now and no. And I will PM media and so dear and no any and some adani and commodity media and so now say Iran funds or more supply 20% of oil worldwide and I need to say and toka AC air coso hono nti one here say within some time now and we decided to fuel prices because and toka coso honinti. And today me read some news be Oprah about shortage of girl fuel kamia koye say and say you can start to a yellow thing because petrol war be because more supply and toka tiasima supply oil abusia mo ram na enkotie enkomotwetwe ne Gyampo ensemo a kopiem TV 3 enkomotwetwe course wo woni bi emba.
Unfortunately, this is Ghana, and this is how we do our politics. Some may want to cash in and say that we too. In fact, I met some group of politicians. Some of them were just expressing happiness that yes, they thought that they were doing so well. This thing has hit them, and I'm saying that look, we should grow out of this kind of politicking that we do, because in my view, if a government is able to do well in alleviating challenges of the people, if a government is able to do well in bringing about development, we all serve to gain. Last week I was saying that all politicians, regardless of their partisan coloration, they buy fuel and they know how much it costs.
No, they don't buy fuel. Government gives them fuel.
I said all politicians, regardless
the
of
ones
their
in government, they get free
partisan coloration, they buy fuel. Oh, stop interjecting.
Go and check.
You know, he's deliberately trying to.
Okay, yes, President Mahama introduced a directive that ministers and deputy ministers should buy their own fuel. Please check that one too. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's my friend. The point I'm trying to make is that clearly, with the few words that have been articulated by the government of the day, I think Ghanaians are cushioned, or Ghanaians are refreshed, and we have a certain confidence that regardless of the severity of the challenge, you have a government that is willing to put in place certain interventions and mechanisms that will ensure that they don't face the harsh reality and the harsh challenge that is occasioned by the war. But you see, on the war that is going on, I've always argued that it appears that the international community, particularly the leadership of international community, they have a feature that, in my view, typifies them as many Ghanaians. What do I mean? When something is going on and it is bad, everybody decides to keep quiet and then allow one person to behave or to conduct himself anyhow. And then when there is challenge, you can see behind the scenes they are all complaining. That's how Ghanaians we behave. We fail to speak up, and when there are issues, we like to gossip about them behind the scenes. And those who are articulate, or those who have the willpower and want to talk about it such that it gets attention to be addressed, you brand them as too known, you brand them as with all manner of names. And that's what's happening in the international community. I know there are so many countries and the leaders who are not happy about what is going on. But when it started, instead of them talking, they just kept quiet. And now we've gotten to where we are. Be that as it may, I trust that this government of President Mahama would be able to put in place mitigations and interventions that will help cushion the good people of governor. Because after all, the essence of putting in place government is to solve problems. Direct assurances, you see, the essence of, in Thomas Hobbes's terms, the essence for which the Leviathan was set up was to confront and solve problems. The essence of governance, the reason why a government is oftentimes instituted is to ensure that problems are solved. Now, in the lead up to elections, governments or will-be governments would always identify problems and profile or articulate policies and programs that will serve to address some of the problems they may have identified in the lead up to they being elected to office. But in the course of governance, there may also be unforeseen problems. In the course of governance, there may be unforeseen problems, like we are encountering now. Now, the world is a global village, and whatever happens anywhere necessarily would likely impact all of us, everywhere. In my view, how the problem is managed, how the unforeseen contingencies gets managed by the government of the day would show leadership. How we weather the storm would show our commitment to helping our people and the extent of our selflessness, and then how we show ingenuity by not blaming everything happening on us to happenings outside, but also addressing the local challenges that tend to exacerbate the problems that may have occurred as a result of what is happening outside, would show that we are serious, a government, or we are not serious in government. Now, in my view, judging from what I've heard, judging from the assurances that have been given, and then judging from how this government has run the country from, for the past 1 year, I am inclined to believe that, yes, there are problems, but the government will be able to weather the storm. And for me, that is what is important. Whether we like it or not, we would always be hit by unforeseen contingencies. But how the government owns up to say that, yes, this is the challenge, and these are the things that I'm doing to mitigate the challenge, for me is crucial. It is disingenuous to always be confronted with a challenge and then want to blame everyone other than yourself. You don't show ingenuity, in governance. Yes, there are things that may have happened, outside. But today we are sitting here, we are talking about the need for certain taxes to be reduced and then removed, and then the assurance that there are some reserves, and then the view that those reserves should be sold, not taking into consideration what is happening. I mean, if you bought it a certain rate, you should make sure that at least you deplete it before you think about increasing and all. I think that for me, these are assuring and these are refreshing statements to come from a government that cares. So generally, that is my position, that's my view. The essence of governance is to solve problems. And so if you get a government that is confronted with an unforeseen contingency and would want to throw its hand in the air in despair, and would always want to say that it is something happening outside, Yes, we know that it is something happening outside that is causing the problem. But how are we addressing that kind of thing happening outside? If that narrative is not factored in the discussion, then you have failed as a government. And so for me, I'm interested in the kinds of things that are being put in place to mitigate the challenges or what is going on, outside, because it's affecting, everybody,
which we have no control over, as a matter of fact.
We don't have control over those things, but we would have a certain control about how we put in place mechanisms and interventions that will sort of pushing the people so that we don't expose ourselves and our people so much to the hardships that some of these unforeseen contingencies may have caused. And I think so far I'm quite elated listening to government functionaries and top officials handling some of these things, the kinds of things that they have said.
This is not the first time. When you do Econs 101, they always say that, look, Ghana's economy, and not only Ghana, a lot of the world, we always have cyclical problems, right? If it's not cocoa today, tomorrow it will be gold. If it's not gold, then it would be crude oil stemming from these wars, the Iraqi war, etc. in the past. So we've had these conversations over and over, and each time it comes up, then it's like, oh yes, let's ramp up value addition, let's do self-sufficiency. Then after a while, everything goes back to business as normal, as usual. So what I would say is that, well, this time the difference is that we've become more savvy as a society. In terms of, if you look at the literacy rates since the Constitution 1992, you can see that now we are quite a different country from 1992. So the politicians need to sit up. It shouldn't be that we'll have this conversation 2-3 weeks. The moment the Strait of Hormuz is opened and everything comes to normal, then we go back to sleep. No. Look, elsewhere, and let me show you when governments mean business. Let me give you a typical example in the US. You see where Talo and Co come from. In the North Sea currently, right? When the conservatives were living, as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war, they implemented what they call a wind tax for, a windfall tax, or the energy profit levy in 2022. They wanted to use that money to cushion the ordinary households, in the UK, because, the prices went up. Ghana, we also suffered it, right? Long story short, after the prices leveled out, when the prices came down, etc., current labor came in. They didn't withdraw the tax. The oil companies in the North Sea are crying blood every time. Look, every time I open my email, because I'm studying the North Sea, every day you see one story or the other on the North Sea. Is the windfall tax going? It is gone. It won't come again. Every day. Look, even if you check Donald Trump is speaking about the North Sea last year, like 5 times. Even this year when he was talking about this war, 3 days ago, he brought in the day he was criticizing Starmer for not joining him, not supporting. He said, Starmer is there, his policies are even bad. He's rendered the North Sea useless, etc. My main point is that a tax that was brought when prices were high in 2022, they've kept it. Their main thing to help their citizens, right? And then also to transform, and this is the main part of my point, to transform their energy consumption or production structure. They are going into renewables. So they say they are positioning themselves as world leaders in renewables. So what I'm saying is that, you see, that Russia-Ukraine war, what it brought them, they saw how Russia tried to weaponize the supply of oil and gas. So the moment they learned it, they said, look, we would win ourselves off this. You know how Europe itself, yes, the Europeans are also...
Drill, baby, drill.
Excellent. And the Europeans are ramping up on renewables. So my point is that from 2022, they didn't say, oh, prices have come down, so forget the renewables drive. No, that is what they are doing. Notwithstanding the oil companies at the throat of the government, insulting them left, right, center, getting Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been their biggest ambassador. He's been hammering Starmer. Look, even if you read Trump's speech at the UN last year, even at the UN, he brought that matter up. If you check last year, he met Starmer about 3 times. He went to the UK. Each time he brought it up. As I mentioned 3 days ago, even this Israel-US war against Iran, he brought it up. So the point is that when the government sees that, look, we've been beaten once, we shouldn't wait to be beaten another time. So this conversation, let's diversify. I've heard it too many times. I've heard it too many times.
Senior. What do you make of when Minister Atoforsin, for instance, says that the convention has been to keep 4 months of import cover? As finance minister, he wants to leave an economy that is so well diversified that we can have 15 months of import cover. We are building on the mistakes of the past. If we can have 15 months of import cover by diversifying even the reserve that we have and provide the needed buffers, that's what governance is. It's the lessons of the past
the reason
that
why
is shaping some of these interventions.